Hello, my name is Larry Reed. I'm out here in Texas, and I'm a singer-songwriter, musician, full-time performer, and a recording engineer and electronics expert. I'm proud to represent the KETRON line. There's an amazing piece of equipment here. This is something that every single musician who plays a guitar, a keyboard, or an accordion should have. And I notice I mentioned the word guitar. I was online and I noticed there's only one other person that even shows off this thing with a guitar. This is an amazing piece of equipment for a single. If you're a single entertainer, you want to sound your very best. Well, you've heard of background modules. Roland makes one called a BK7, which I also own. But this is the Ferrari of those kinds of backup units. And I say that in a loving way because the unit is actually made in Italy. But over here, you have to get them through people like me because we're the representation here in the United States. You're not going to find this at the normal shops. But what it can do for you is absolutely amazing. All the sounds that are in this thing are real. They have real drums, real bass, real synthesizers. Nothing's faked. It's all real. And the sounds they give you, it isn't just a bunch of miscellaneous sounds. They're sounds that you can actually utilize. And when you set this thing up, and you set up even a MIDI track, which I use MIDI tracks, and I also use the live portion of this called the arranger. Right now I'm going to show you what it does with just the MIDI track when it's set up correctly. This is an example of just how good this thing sounds. Way down yonder, Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than a hoochie-coochie. We laid her up along the Georgia asphalt, got a little crazy, but we never got caught. Down by the river on a Friday night, a pyramid of cans and my favorite light. Talking about cars and dreaming about women, never had a plan, just a living for the minute. Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, never knew how much of money water meant to me. Learned how to swim and learned there was a lot about living and a little about love. Yeah. Kill it right there. And you have a way to talk, you can actually turn off the reverb unit and go direct. Because it sounds a little better when I'm talking direct. This is an amazing piece of equipment. Again, this is called the Midjay Pro. This is the professional model. And it's been around for a little bit, and not too many people, especially guitarists, even know about it. This particular one has also got some incredible equipment in it, made by a man called AJ with AjamSonic. The machine has all the effects for your microphone all built in, as well as your guitar. We'll get to that in a little bit, and possibly another video. There's a lot to learn with this thing, but it's really cool what it can do. One of the best things about this thing is if you're using a GK guitar or any kind of MIDI guitar, you can control the module. In other words, you can play real instruments, everything that's in here, utilizing the guitar. So in this case, like if I want to do something like some Elton John, little bit funny, this feeling inside, allows me to play the piano through this, also allows me to control it. So, if we pick a particular sound, I'm going to back out of here to the style section. You push the exit button, you're back at thing, you push style, and now you're in styles. So we find a style we like. Let's say we want to do a slow ballad. And we're going to go ahead and just play the ballad. So the first thing I need to do is set the key. By turning my guitar on and playing a chord, I am now setting the key of the machine. So we can take the start. Right now, it's playing in the key I just struck. If I change to G, it changes with me. Back to C again. F. Back to C. Now, one of the cool things is that you can also add that piano I had. play here, I want to show you some of the neat features about this. All bands have more than one variation. So if you're going to a chorus, say for example, you switch over to a little bit different variation of the same theme. The variations are in logical order, the simplest being A, which that's the simplest of all the variations. Now, if you want to fill, which is a drummer, you can either touch it here. Now there are 4 kinds of fills, and there's also a thing that, this is the only machine that does this. Only the KETRONs do a break, which is a live band thing. Very cool. You also have starts and stops. In other words, you have intros. Now, how complex the intros are, you have 3 intros for each variation and 3 exits for each variation. So like if we stop this right now and I want to start it with a simple variation, you'll hear it counting in. That was a very simple intro. But now let's make it a little more complex. Let's give it intro C, variation C. So now it's playing it. Very cool, huh? All of a sudden I'm a live band. Now here's where you put a fill. Okay, now I'm going to show you how an exit works. All right, now I hit the button and it says ending. But they make switches for this too. You can control this machine with your guitar. You can control this thing with a foot pedal up to 16 pedals. You can control it with a bass pedal system. And we'll get to all those in future videos. This thing has a lot of ways to control it. The one I like to use, which is not sitting right next to me right now, is a small device that mounts to the guitar and allows you to do all the fills. You just take your hand and touch a button. And you can do all the fills, starts, stops, etc. And you can assign the buttons any way you like. So it's your preference again, which is one. Okay, today what I'm going to show you is how to use one of the most great parts of this unit, which is called the arranger. The arranger is the live section of this particular device. And today we're using the Midjay Pro, which has the AjamSonic upgrade, which is really cool. And we'll get into all those things later. But this is a very professional piece of equipment. Now, one of the things you can do with this is you can go to voices and you can choose a particular voice. Right now I'm on organ. I've got rock organ on. I'm going to turn the guitar down. You notice I'm playing the organ with the guitar. Now let's say I don't particularly want that voice. Let's say I want a different voice. I want a piano. I'm going to choose a grand piano. You have full control, by the way, of all the levels at all times. Now let's say we want to do a song like Elton John's Candle in the Wind. I couldn't think of it there for a minute. Elton John's Candle in the Wind. In this particular case, we can either use a piano or we can use a piano with strings. In this particular case, I think a piano with strings is befitting. Hear the strings hanging on in the background? Pretty cool. Now, normally you would do a countdown, and we'll start with a very simple variation, which would be variation 2 on the drummer. And there's several ways we can start the music. We can start it with a count in, which is right here, and you push this button, and you hear it counting in. You notice it's now in the exact right key that I want. Goodbye, Norma Jean. Though I never knew you at all, you had the grace when those around you fell. They crawled out of the woodwork and they changed your name. They made you a superstar, and fame was the price you paid. Well, it seems to me you live your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have loved to know you, but I was just a kid. Candle burned out long before. These are different intros, and as long as I told it the key, which is E, I can hit intro 1. Now that's a very simple thing. You notice I also brought up the section called chord. The chord can be a lot of different things depending on the particular style you choose. All right, now let's say I want a more complex. But during the intros, I choose to use this because it's pretty cool. It does some amazing things. Let's take and make a much more complex intro. At any time when I want to fill, all I have to do is hit this button right here. Now, you'll notice over here I have letters A, B, C, and D. These can also be assigned to other things like these knobs right here. So if I want a different variation, instead of touching the screen, I can actually